Happy Sunday.
What is it?
Happy Sunday.
Oh, I thought it was Monday. Praise the Lord, it's Sunday.
Vinny Curry. How many like random 6'5"
Okay.
Nick, what did you see on Friday night that you liked?
I like the ending. That was a hell of a play by Patrick at the end of the game there to cause that fumble and recover it. We did have a good run, kind of in the second quarter through the third quarter where I think we had a bunch of 3-and-outs in a row. That was good. So there was a lot of good.
What are some things in the evaluation process that you really need a game for that you can't see in practice?
A lot, because in practice, particularly in pass rush, you don't finish. We try and stay away from the quarterback, so he doesn't hit his hand or on an offensive lineman or a defensive pass rusher. So a game is when you actually do finish. A game is when you actually do tackle. A game is when actually everything's at full speed, snap to whistle. So the games are very, very valuable in developing players and also in evaluating players.
Hey, Vic, you got the starters to play.
Excuse me?
Most of your starters played on the defensive side versus the offense. How were you involved in that?
Well, we're just so new on defense. I think our offense is returning 8 of their 11 starters, I believe, and although, albeit Kellen's new, but most of the position coaches are the same on offense, whereas everything's new on defense, new players, new coaches, new scheme. We need to play.
What did you make of Quinyon in his first game?
I thought he did well. He played both nickel and outside corner. He's a good player and he's going to be a good player. We just have to be careful not to overload his plate too much because nickel is a full-time position as well as corner is. And he's having to learn both right now, and they're two drastically different positions. So we got to constantly monitor that to make sure he's capable of doing that.
Is that something that you would eventually want to pare down for him, kind of let him major in one instead of being at both?
That would be ideal. It may not be practical. We may have to play him at nickel.
You mentioned that stretch in the second, third quarter, like N'Kobe, Trot, Ben Van Sumer, and they seem to have good games. Is that what you saw?
Yeah. I thought those guys played well, all three of them, and it was different. They had their 2s and 3s in there too, so you always have to temper it to a degree, but I was pleased with the way those 3 guys play that you mentioned.
You mentioned how they're completely different positions, nickel and corner, and the way that you can. What makes those different?
Well, corner is corner. I think we all know what corner is.
And your defense.
Well, in anybody's defense, not just our defense. It's universal. And nickel essentially is really a linebacker position. If you stay in go back to the traditional 4-3, if you stayed in a 4-3, a linebacker would be walked out on that slot. Well, the linebacker leaves the game, and now you're in nickel, and the nickel's on that slot. And so essentially, when you pare it down, he's playing linebacker-type zones, more involved in the run than a corner is. So it's a drastically different position.
When you say you might have to play in that nickel, Vic, that's because that's where the need is?
Both from a need and maybe just to get our best combination out there.
Talked a couple weeks ago about the difficulty of
transitioning from corner to safety, and that not everybody can do it. You talked about the difficulty in transfer.
Right.
How is James doing in that?
You know what?
Anything surprising you?
Yeah, you know what he's doing. He's doing pretty damn good there. You know, he's got a good feel for football, which has carried over to the safety position for him. I think he understands the game from a high level through his experience and through his intelligence, and it's helped him in the transition to safety. He's been doing a good job.
What were your impressions on Isaiah Rodgers on Friday?
Good. You know, he had a handful of plays. He got beat on the one in cut, but he was tight. Overall, good. He's had a good camp.
Can I follow up on the transition quarterback to safety? I know James is doing this later in his career, but 4 of your 5 top safeties are converted corners right now.
Who are they? I know Chauncey had corner in.
Chauncey was a slot for a long time.
Yeah, well, that's not corner.
Devonta.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, okay.
Corner's corner. Nickel is nickel.
Okay.
Drastically different.
Okay. So
Okay.
do you think that you don't have many guys that just play safety throughout their entire career? Is that an issue? Is that maybe why you brought someone in just now, or is it depth issues? Or
yeah, it's more depth issues and more depth issues. Trying to, we're Avante is getting work there. So yeah, it's a position that's in transition from a roster standpoint.
What did you like about Caden Stearns when you had him that short time in Denver?
Yeah, he was a good player. Moved well, had good instincts, good ball skills, had a good feel for the game. We just need to see where he's at physically. He's only played 5 games in the last 2 years, I believe. I don't believe you'll see him out here on the practice field at least for a week or so. So we need to see where he is physically, how he's moving around, and then go from there.
Keely Ringo had some good moments on Friday night. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, I agree. He broke up some balls, down around outside the numbers, which is different than playing nickel. And I thought he played well and has been doing good.
How would you assess the linebacker play from Friday night, with N'Kobe and
Yeah, I thought Friday night it was pretty good. It really was. Yeah.
For Zach Bond, having not played a lot of linebacker in New Orleans, if it's such an instincts position, what did you see on tape that made you want to put him there?
He had a few plays where in New Orleans where the way they adjusted their defense, he would end up kind of looking like a ILB at times. Not a lot. And just from looking at those few plays, thought he had a chance to do it.
And does he have those instincts?
He does. I believe he does. He's had a good camp. His first few plays the other night, he didn't play correctly, but overall he's had a good camp.
Nick, what's your overall philosophy toward blitzing? Is it based more on personnel or I guess the scheme of the opponent?
All of the above. I mean, basically, we will blitz. You want to blitz when you want to, and you think it's appropriate. You don't want to blitz because you feel you have to. So, that's the answer. I mean, we'll have games where we hardly do it. We'll have games where we do it a lot. So it's based on who we are, personnel-wise, the scheme we're going against, and what do we feel the best way to stop somebody is.
I ask because you have inside backers who do have experience with that, whether it's in college or, in Devin's case, in the NFL. Does that influence the way you do blitzing?
Yeah.
Nick, how about the defensive tackle rotation there? You saw a lot of Mustapher and Hooker and Hall. How do you think they did?
Yeah, I think they did fine. We had a decent game against the run. We didn't have many plays on defense the other night. It was in the 40s, when you take away the pre-snap stuff. So I would have liked to have gotten a longer look at some of them. But, we need to develop more pass rush in our interior line, and that's something that hopefully we'll get done.
What do you think about Jalen's Hunt and Nolan Smith?
Yeah, I thought Hunt did a little better than I thought he would, just based on practices. I think he's improving and he's coming, and I think he'll he'll continue to improve. Nolan had some productive snaps there. You know, saw the one sack off the edge where the tackle was late getting out there, and he basically had a free sack, which he converted. You know, a lot of guys will get there and not convert them. He converted it, and that was good. But they're progressing.
What do you think Nolan does best right now?
He's fast and athletic. When he gets to use that part of his game, he excels. He's got to, be more physical at the point. When he has to pass rush against tackles and wrestle with them, got to be able to get something done. He's improving.
We saw Jalen make a couple of plays either in coverage or out on the perimeter. How much does that background being in the secondary help him in those situations?
It might. It helps him some, but not as much as I think you're trying to allude to.
How do you think you stand on nose tackle there at this point?
Good. I think, obviously we got Jordan. I think Milt can probably go in there and play it. You have to have, you'll probably dress 5 on game day, interior D lineman, and somebody has to be a backup nose. All right.
They don't respect us. They don't know about our heart, man. That thing that's beating your doggone chest right now. Whatever you got today, I got to have it.